What's up, everybody? I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek. Welcome to Pretty Dece, your daily entertainment and pop culture show. Today on the show, we're going to talk about some comic books because Marvel Comics announced today that yet again they are doing what they're calling a fresh start to their comic series, kind of their entire line. They're essentially rebooting a bunch of series to issue one, and kind of restarting the stories, giving good jumping on points. This has become something of a joke. Marvel seems to do this kind of every handful of months. The last time that Marvel did the massive relaunch and renumbering and trying to get new people on was a mere 8 months ago with the Marvel Legacy project. That was the point that we talked about here on Pretty Dece, where they went back and renumbered their series as if comics had never been rebooted, as if things had never been restarted. So you had things like, Black Panther jumped from issue number 18 to issue number 166 because they went back and kind of changed how they were doing all of that numbering. That, at least 8 months ago, was a sign that they seemed to want to be done with the concept of restarting back at one, redoing their numbering, and kind of that cyclical process that happens so often in comics. And while the number change was a little silly, I at least appreciated the sentiment. The idea that legacy in comic books matters, that the history, the canon that's built up before you matters, and that they're not going to constantly redo any of this numbering and any of this canon. Cut to 8 months later, here today, that's no longer the case. We are resetting these books, things are going back to one, and stories are starting over. It really is all just lip service. It all means nothing. I'm sure we'll be having this conversation again 8 months from now, when the new fresh start is happening for Marvel. It's honestly getting a little out of hand and a little sad. DC is doing the same thing, not to completely excuse them from this process. They've just been seeing a bit more success with it as of late. All of the Rebirth comics, which have been going for a while now, are fairly successful. Things feel fairly cohesive. It feels less seat of your pants. And every time Marvel ends up doing this, it feels very much like they are flying by the seat of their pants. The only thing we know so far, there was a video put out earlier today talking about this vague fresh start where C.B. Cebulski, the fairly new editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics, was kind of just vaguely talking about a shakeup in artistic direction and writing direction for all of their comics, and how excited people were walking around the Marvel office. Then later today, there was a little bit more information coming out, and we got a little bit of info about the first of the titles that's getting restarted. First of all, and I think that this is probably a good change, all of the various Avengers books are getting consolidated down into a single Avengers title. Instead of trying to keep up with multiple different Avengers things and different Avengers incarnations, you have one book, Avengers, to follow if you like the Avengers. It's going to publish 18 issues a month instead of 12, or a year rather, instead of 12, which again is not too bad. You're getting a little bit more than extra, but you're not having to buy this thing twice a month. It's kind of somewhere in between there. And we know the lineup, at least, for this incarnation of the Avengers. So you have kind of the core team of Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, all in their classic incarnations that you would expect. We also have a Hulk on the team. She-Hulk is going to be there. And Captain Marvel, of course, with the movie coming out, you got to have Captain Marvel in the mix on your comic book as well. The new Ghost Rider is there as well, which should mix things up. A nice addition to the team. Not really a normal Avengers member, so that's kind of nice to see someone new thrown into the mix there. And then finally, Doctor Strange is going to be there on the team, but that seems like it's maybe a rotating spot. So that's going to be where the kind of extra hero is going to get thrown in. It's not always going to be Doctor Strange month in and month out. Now, we do know the series is going to be written by Jason Aaron and drawn by Ed McGuinness. And the cover here to Avengers #1, the art looks really, really great. So I'm excited for this from a creative standpoint, a story standpoint, and from an art standpoint. I really kind of like what they're doing, at least with this cover so far. But from a business standpoint, Marvel constantly resetting these books back to number one, or at least just shuffling the numbering, shuffling their general line, trying to tell you month after month that this is new, this is different, now you should care, now you should care. I honestly think that it's getting very old, and I think they need to really find a new way to try to bring in fresh people, bring in lapsed readers that isn't so gimmicky. Tell me that your stories are better. Don't tell me that you're restarting numbering back to one. I would love to see that be the case. So that's going to do it for Pretty Dece for today. Thank you very much for joining me here on the show. Make sure that you like Pretty Dece on Facebook, facebook.com/PrettyDeceShow. Follow me on Twitter @PrettyDeceShow and visit PrettyDeceShow.com. I'll be back tomorrow for another daily episode. In the meantime, make sure you hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, on the podcast, and in the Anchor app so you never miss any of the content.